Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to another session here in ReadersMagnet's featured author interview. My name is Leah, and I will be your host for today. And with me is one of the ReadersMagnet's featured author. And today, he will be sharing to us what this book is all about, him as an author, and of course, what inspired him to write this book. So, yes, everyone, let's all welcome our one and only Mr. James McCarroll, author of the book the Faith to Forgive, a new path to forgiveness as a journey of faith. Yes, hello, James. It's good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Leah.
Wow, that's good to hear. And you know what? We are very happy and honored that you also chose us to be part of this journey, that you let Reader's Magnet to help you in promoting the book. And right now, you're already sharing it to among as many people. Wow, thank you so much for that, James. Yes, so here. Yes. So, yes, James, this is the moment that we've been waiting for. But before we tackle more information about your book, of course, we wanted to know who Mr. James McCarroll is. So, yes, a little bit of self introduction, please.
Okay, yeah, so my name is James McCarroll. As you mentioned, I'm a native of Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a local pastor, but also am a book publisher, music producer, graphic
Wow.
designer, and I own a promotional item company. So just get a chance. I try to change the world and change lives with each and everything I do. And so, in short, I'm a gift to the world, and I want to make sure the world knows that. And not from an egotistic place, but a place of understanding that there's only one me, and I want to make sure that whatever purpose was on my life for being here, that the world experiences that.
Wow, thank you so much for that, James. And you know what? I like that. I like that. It's such a good feeling. And it's such actually an advantage of knowing someone who really knows what their plans and purpose in life. And there you are doing it right now. Wow, thank you so much for that, James. Yes. So, about your book, James. The Faith to Forgive, a new path to forgiveness is a journey of faith. Yes, can you tell us what this book is all about?
So this book is it's a book on forgiveness, but not a traditional approach to forgiveness. This is about the faith it takes to forgive. Of course, there are thousands of books on forgiveness, but none of them spoke to this concept of what it means to believe you can actually forgive. In the Bible, Luke chapter 17, Jesus tells the disciples to have all of this forgiveness, and their response is increase our faith. So I wanted to make sure that we delved into that and that we were able to offer this information in the sea of information on forgiveness to give specific understanding of what it means to walk through a process of forgiveness and then give you the tools to do that so that not only do you forgive, but your relationships are better and stronger as a result of them.
Wow, thank you so much for that, James. So, this book of yours emphasizes the true forgiveness that really transcends more words and action, especially that it's also connected with faith, the spiritual practice that requires faith as well as the inner strength, which you mentioned earlier. By integrating the elements of faith, it really encouraged us to have a deeper understanding, compassion, leading to a good relationship with others,
Yes.
oneself, and in a relationship with others. Wow, that is really amazing. And also, James, we are very curious, how did you start this book? Like, what's the inspiration of you behind creating this book and sharing it to the people right now?
It was going through my own process of forgiveness. The fact is, I was in a very challenging space, relationship space, and there was so much hurt that was happening on a regular basis that I had to figure out a way to not harbor it any longer. I realized it was having emotional implications. It was affecting me physically. It was affecting me mentally, and so I decided, okay, how do I not harbor this? How do I let this go? And I realized forgiveness is a whole lot easier to say than it is to do. And so I've started developing this process of being able not only to get it out of my head, but to try to get it out of my heart, get the hurt out of my heart. And when I noticed there was a process that worked, I wanted to share that with the world. So that so many people who wrestle with forgiveness of past trauma can finally find freedom in that.
Wow. You know what, James? We are so proud of you. Why? Because you creating this book, it's not just about you sharing your own story, but right now you're already advocating for a specific cause and agenda. Just like what you mentioned earlier, the forgiveness is really essential for emotional healing and spiritual growth at the same time.
Yes,
Because definitely, just like what you mentioned earlier, it did really allow you or allows individuals to release the pain, the burdens, or of resentment,
yes,
and let's say anger, if there is, through prayer and resilience
yes,
on God's help, which is knowing what really faith is.
yes,
This would really help a lot of individuals out there who can really find the strength to forgive
yeah,
others and themselves as well,
yeah,
fostering, let's say, it because it really talk about peace and resilience in their hearts.
yes,
Wow, it is really, you creating this book, James, really encouraged a deeper understanding of compassion, love, faith, forgiveness, making forgiveness not only an act of, let's say, not only an act of kindness, but at the same time, it's actually another door or pathway to inner tranquility and renewed relationships. You mentioned earlier about relationships. And also, James, I am very curious because in your book, it also talks about the relationship renovation. So, will you tell us more about that?
yes. So I realized that most relationships, as a pastor, I counsel thousands of relationships. So I realized that most relationships didn't need to be discarded; they just needed to be renovated. And so what that means is they need to look within instead of being accusatory, be assessing and look within and determine what needs to be changed in the relationship to ensure that the relationship gets on a better track. That relationships are ultimately gardens, and no one throws away the plants because they don't grow. They adjust the soil, they adjust the sunlight, they adjust the watering. And so being able to understand that most relationships will be turned if people can answer three questions. Number one, am I willing to be wrong? Number two, am I willing to make changes? And number three, am I willing to forgive? And so, if they're
Wow.
willing to do those three things, then it opens up their heart to a number of possibilities that have normally been shut off because of distrust or disappointment or trauma.
Wow, that's actually, wow, that's amazing. I mean, it's just so awesome. All these words coming out from your mouth right now, James. There's really a lot of, realization. It's like, just like the word saying, we're not broken, but just bent. It just needs renovation. At the same time, it really refers to, let's say, the process of revitalizing and improving one's, what interpersonal connections.
Yes,
That
yes,
requires, let's say, yeah, it's just like that open communication, understanding, the commitment to really grow,
yes,
like acknowledging what are the things that you have done, and at the same time, if you're willing to really change for it,
yes,
understand, wow, this journey can be, I must say, can be intertwined with a journey of faith, which is really, you're hitting that you're hitting that in this book, James, where individuals, can lead on their beliefs, let's say spiritual practices,
mhm,
which is the thing that you also highlight in this book,
mhm,
to really foster the trust, forgiveness, and at the same time, faith can really provide a guidance of strength, and it can be shared to a sense of a lot of purpose, allowing both parties, or let's say partners,
mhm,
to really navigate challenges and deepen their, I must say, the bond, while promoting the mutual respect and love that
yes,
should be present. Wow,
yes,
that's amazing. Now, James, I have seen your book online, and it is showing there that you have a 5-star rating, where you got a lot of positive feedback, good reviews from your readers. Now, is there any, um I'm very curious, are there any key challenges that you faced while the journey of you creating this book? Like, because I believe that, based, just like what you mentioned earlier, this is also based on your own experience, so there must be some emotional triggers. Now, how did you, what are the challenges, and how did you, um come up with a good resolution to really, hey, I want to do this, I want to share my experience? So can you tell us about that?
There were two. There were two. The first was emotional. When I was writing the book, once the first iteration of the book was completed, it got
Mm-hmm.
completely erased. So I lost all of the documents, and
Oh.
so I had to ask the question, how valuable is this book to the world? And I was ready to walk away, and the Lord said to me very clearly, He said, "Look, if you wrote it once, you can write it again." And the second time it came out better. And I had to overcome that within myself. I couldn't beat myself up. And I learned in that moment that you can't fight yourself and be fruitful. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
able to, if you're going to give forgiveness to the world, it begins with the process of being able to forgive, help people forgive themselves by coming through a process of you forgiving yourself. And then the other thing I started to see was I wondered what it would feel like to be a reader reading this book. And so initially writing it, it was good, but I was writing it from my vantage point, and I wanted to make sure that the reader not only had information but had a process. And so the book was
Mm-hmm.
reiterated and redesigned to give a clear process with prayers, with steps they could follow to make sure they didn't miss any part of the process.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that, James. And right now, getting these positive feedback, there's positive feedback coming from the readers whom you've already helped. I think it everything did is really worth it. It did pay off. The struggles, emotional triggers, and wow, I am so proud of you, James. Wow, this is just so amazing. Now, of course, James, for your readers, what do you think your readers will take away after reading your book?
They'll take away three things. Number one, they'll take away uh, the necessity for mercy and forgiveness. That is not about um, you proving a point. It's about understanding that mercy has been granted to you. So mercy should be granted toward others. The second thing they'll take away is healing. They'll realize that you can't hurt and love at the same, or you can't abuse and love a person at the same time. So they'll see
Wow.
themselves transform. Then the third thing they'll realize is that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Forgiveness actually requires remembering so that you can drop the charges, but forgiveness is also different than wisdom. And so just because you get reconciled or become reconciled, it doesn't mean that you don't use wisdom in the relationship.
Wow, thank you so much. That's awesome. That's priceless, James. So, yes, everyone, for our viewers out there, if you are looking for a book that talks about faith, forgiveness, transformation, healing, go grab a copy of Mr. James McCarroll's book, and that's available in Amazon.com, Barnes& Noble, and of course, please do check his website. That's www.jamesmccarroll.org. And you know what, James? Again, just like what I mentioned earlier, this is a transformative forces. Faith and forgiveness really a transformative forces that foster healing and understanding in
Yes.
human relationships. So everyone should must have this book because again, just like what you mentioned earlier, this really embracing this kind of book really embracing the faith that would allow everyone to trust in a greater purpose, while again talking about forgiveness frees the heart from resentment, promoting personal place and clarity. Together we wanted to encourage someone out there that, hey, compassion and willingness to move forward will really create a more harmonious and a connected community. And this is what the world should have right now, needs right now. Wow,
Yes.
thank you so much for that, James.
Thank
And
you.
yes, James, is there any message that you'd like to say to our viewers out there?
You can be free if you choose to be free, and this book will help you get there.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much for that, James. And yes, thank you so much as well for gracing with us and again allowing Readers Magnet to be part of this journey. It is such an honor, James. Thank you so much. So yes, everyone, again, this is our author, Mr. James McCarroll, and also please do check him out on March 11 to 13. He will be doing a book signing during the London Book Fair. So that's going to be the 2025 London Book Fair, March 11 to March 13. And again, if you wanted to grab a copy of his book, that's available on Amazon.com, Barnes& Noble, and also his website. That's www.jamesmccarroll.org. And again, James, thank you so much. So
Thank
this
you.
is our author of the book, The Faith to Forgive, A New Path to Forgiveness is a Journey of Faith. Mr. James McCarroll, thank you so much. And yes, as we say it here in Reader's Magnet, we share your story with the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much.